Okay, if you could go back in time and you could either vote for Donald Trump or Kamala Harris, who would you vote for?
I would say Donald Trump, but I will say this. Over the past couple of weeks, Donald Trump has, kind of made poor decisions. I will not lie. Um, he's not living up to the standards that the Republican Party needs or what the Democratic Party needs either, I believe. It's time we get a new candidate. We need a new candidate pretty badly. With everything that happened to Charlie, I just don't think he handled that properly whatsoever. I don't think that they have done what they needed to. But I do believe he was a better choice than Kamala. Just
Kamala.
at the time.
Okay, why do you still believe that to this day?
Well, I guess I would say I feel like he's done more for our economy than she could have. I mean,
Like
with
what?
the Biden administration, our economy was constantly in debt. And I'm not going to sit here and say that, Trump hasn't put us in some weird spots as well, because he has. But I think for a money standpoint, we've been better with Trump. I do believe that our country has sort of grown with Trump, but I don't believe he's done the best job of what he needs to do. I'm still trying to figure out who the Republicans need to nominate in 2028, because I don't know if it should be Vance. I really don't.
Is there a way you
But
could turn off the TV in the background? Also, so as it relates to
yeah,
this, Donald Trump signed off on more debt-related spending. He actually signed off on 4 trillion more debt-related spending compared to the Biden-Harris administration.
okay. I mean, to be fair, the reason my beliefs are in Trump, and I mean, I guess at this point, it's kind of fading away, I guess you could say, is I am a Christian, just like Charlie was, and so I thought he reflected our views the best. But the further it's gone, I feel like he hasn't, supported that community as much as he could, and also as a whole for our country, just the people around. I feel like we need somebody better. Um, I don't know. I just who do you think it should be in 2028 for the Democratic nominee and the Republican nominee? That's my question.
Well, I don't have a say on the Republicans because I'm not a Republican. I don't like any of them, to
Right.
be totally honest with you.
Yeah, I
But if
get
we
you.
want to talk about the Democrats, I would prefer like a progressive like AOC. That'd be fantastic. Now, in terms of, or even James Tallarico, I think he's really cool. I don't know if he'd run for presidency though. But
Yeah.
for being Christian, Kamala Harris is also Christian. I would argue that Donald Trump isn't actually as much upholding Christian ideals as Kamala Harris. I think that Donald Trump said that he specifically never asked God for forgiveness, right? Which would actually be antithetical to the idea of repentance. He couldn't name his
Yep.
favorite Bible verse. He didn't know the distinction between the
Yep.
New and Old Testament.
Hmm.
There's plenty of things we could point to there.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, like, I don't think he's reflected my views as good as he should have. And I thought he did a phenomenal job in 2016. From 2016 to 2020, this has been a letdown compared to what it was, in my opinion. A huge letdown. Um, do I think he's been absolutely terrible? No, but I do think we need a change on the Republican side, and I think the Democratic side also needs to start going through some changes as well. I think that they need to handle things a lot differently than they have been. But the last thing I was going to say is, and I know you're big on this too. You're a big free speech guy, right? Freedom of speech for both sides, correct?
Yeah, I believe in a general freedom of speech.
Right. So I think when they canceled Jimmy Kimmel, that was not the right move. I thought that was stupid. He should not have got canceled for what he was canceled for. And the same thing with what they're trying to do with what's their names, Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes. Both sides, it makes zero sense. Okay, I don't care what you say. You should have the freedom of speech. That's what America was built on, right? So on both sides of the aisle, you agree generally that freedom of speech is okay as long as it's not hate related, right?
I don't think the president was the one getting YouTube to do that. I think YouTube did that themselves. Do I support
Yeah.
YouTube doing that? I have no issue with YouTube doing that. That's not against freedom of speech. That's actually their own company protocol, and you can do that with a company. You can have your own setup. And do I think that Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes should be able to like grow huge platforms? No. Like I think that's bad, right?
I got
Like
you. But
I
so do you
think
believe?
Nick Fuentes is a huge threat. Like he's a really bad person, right? He's literally like he's a white supremacist, right? So I definitely don't think that like he should be on these platforms. So the private businesses should specifically like like not do so. But do I think that like freedom of speech from a legal perspective should be taken away? No. But like, I
Okay.
mean, I do think that like, you know, these private companies, right, have their own policies, and their own policies should restrict them.
Right. And so you think that it was okay that ABC, suspended Jimmy for the amount of time that they did?
So it's okay from a legal perspective. Do I agree with them
Okay.
doing that? Would be a different sort of prescription.
I
Like,
got
so
you.
I would probably agree with it with the context of Nick Fuentes, but like someone like Jimmy Kimmel, I don't think he should be taken down.
Okay.
But from a legal perspective, can they do it if it's their choice? Yes, they can do that.
Mhm.
That's totally their 100% decision. Now, my issue would be the government, like Donald Trump and the Trump administration, then getting them and forcing them and coercing them into circumstances where they take them down. That's a big issue
Yeah.
because it seems to me like they're stepping into it, stepping out, kind of letting things happen, and then they're just going to go and clamp down on everything. And Trump's even said
Yeah.
himself if he could make TikTok 100% MAGA, he would. That's
I saw
problematic.
that.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he shouldn't even be saying that.
But I will say, after the whole Charlie thing happened, I don't know if this was just me that noticed this, but for some reason, both sides of the political parties, they both seem like they're big on censorship right now. And I don't get it. I really don't get it. I mean, I guess it's because they want to protect our country. They don't want people saying things that are out of the way about the situation or about any other situation. But to me, it feels like the Republicans and the Democrats have both seeked censorship for whatever reason, which, again, like you said, like if the companies want to do that, like YouTube, ABC, whatever, that's fine. But like from a general like censorship standpoint, like Gavin Newsom, he came out and said he wants to pass a bill that you can be charged if it's like put as hate speech or claimed to be hate speech. So my question for that is, what is specifically classified as hate speech and freedom of speech? Because if someone's like what Charlie was
I
doing
didn't
was
hear Gavin say this. I'd have to see the conditions. I mean, I agree. That's a question that everyone would ask: is what
right.
qualifies under the context of hate speech? Because Donald Trump's
Yeah,
definition of hate speech is going to be radically different from Gavin Newsom's definition of hate speech, right?
exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. Because
I'm
like
assuming
either
it's
side,
relating to threatening speech. Like if there's threatening speech, well then yeah, that's definitely something that shouldn't be allowed. And currently under the free speech laws, that's not allowed.
yeah, it was a couple days ago when he had the speech about it. He said he's pushing for the bill to be passed, but he said that there was no context behind it at all. That's what I'm confused about. He just basically said if it's hate speech, he wants to make it where a bill can be passed to where you can be charged, like in prison for whatever amount of time. But there was like no context behind it, which kind of confused me. So my question is like exactly what you said. The Democrats have a different point of view than the Republicans do, and vice versa, right? So what would be classified as hate speech? Because I'm not going to agree with some things you say. You're not going to agree with some things I say, but we don't hate each other, right? So what are they trying, like, what are the Republicans and Democrats, like, why are they trying to censor us so much? Like, why is it's not just one side either. It's both sides. They are seeking censorship for whatever reason. It's either the Democrats' way or the Republicans' way. And it feels like there's no choice anymore. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I think that it's because people have different perspectives on what they think is like harmful rhetoric and what they think shouldn't be allowed in terms of speech, and that's a conversation that's already existed. And I think that you know, like that people are just having greater conversations about this because of Donald Trump imposing restrictions on free speech, right? Especially through the context of putting people in prison for a year for burning the American flag. So I think actually Donald Trump right now is actually this conversation wasn't as prevalent until Donald Trump started doing this. Like, does it make sense? I think it's Trump's
I
fault.
guess. I mean, I can see where you're coming from that standpoint. I do feel like we got to get back on the track in our country to where everybody has a choice, right? And I feel like whoever's in charge, whether Republican or Democrat, it's either their way or the highway. There's no in between. I feel like politics as a whole right now, they're all crooked. That's where I'm looking at it right now.
So then here's my point is that Trump is the one that has corroded our system from being able to engage with each other and meaningfully create like legitimate and good compromise, right? And being able to, you know, put the country towards a better perspective. Trump is the extremism that has limited us from being able to do that. Whether it be what he's done on January 6th, with denying the results of the election, his anti-science rhetoric, the fact that he was specifically held civilly liable if he brags about walking in the changing rooms and women without their consent while they're in changing rooms. All of those things are such extreme perspectives, right, to support and to defend. So if we want to like be against the divisiveness, the polarization, right, then we wouldn't want to support someone like Trump. And that's why I advocate every single day against someone like Trump, because he irreparably has harmed the discourse in this country.
Yeah, I got you. And I think your opinion should be, out there. And I feel like talks like this, debates like this is what makes America great. That's why I'm happy to live here, is that we can talk like this. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah, this is so
you're very
important.
respectful,
I agree.
but
It's
there's
really
a lot.
Important.
Yeah, and there's a lot of Democrats and Republicans that are not like this. They cannot have civil debates. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just constantly yelling at each other. That's not what our country needs, especially in this point after what all is going on. But I appreciate you, answering my questions. I hope you have a great day and you continue to debate and use your ability of free speech, because that's what our country needs.
Appreciate you, Michael. Have a good day. Do you support Donald Trump?
Not only do I support, I love Donald Trump.
Okay, why so?
Just everything he's done.
Such as?
Well, everything. Such as what got him to become our president.
Such as?
Well, answer this. How do you become president of the U.S. if you've done nothing? You know what I mean? It can be as simple a question as that. You know what I mean? Like, we shouldn't make it hard. Like, he's done a lot. So that's what got him here, right?
Could you tell me what he's done?
He's done a lot.
Could you tell me what he's done?
I mean, where do I start?
How could we go almost 10 years and you don't know a single thing that he's done?
Like I said, where do I even start? Where do I even begin?
First thing that comes to mind.
First thing that comes to mind, become U.S. president.
No, like what's something that he's done as president?
Done as president, or what got him there?
No, what he's done as president.
Let's see. What he's done as president right now, or whenever he first became president. He's back to back now, Parker.
At any point when he was president.
He's back to back now. We didn't only get him once.
Do
We got him twice.
do you know that you don't have an answer?
No, but look how simple this can be, right?
You want to ask another clarifying question?
How do we get him? How do we get him the first time, and then he comes back as president? Isn't that crazy?
What did he do?
If somebody doesn't do anything,
by the way, I have a question. If he wins, loses, and then wins, was that back to back?
That is back to back, actually. not like back to back. You know what I mean? Like he had to come back. You know what I mean? Like, he proved people wrong. People got to see.
So not back to back.
This guy, like, how do you get somebody back in office if they've done nothing for the country? You know what I mean? Like, just think about that.
Well, because people who are ill-informed vote for them. So could you tell me what specifically?
How's that ill-informed?
Okay, well, I'll show you.
They had 4 years. He had 4 years of presidency.
Yeah. I'll show you how ill-informed. I'll show you how ill-informed people vote for him. Name one thing that Donald Trump influenced to get passed that you support.
Let me think. Not everybody can just like you, Parker. Hold on 1 second. Let me think. I would say probably that he pops out the UFC events. I think that's pretty amazing.
So you can't say anything he's influenced to get passed.
Probably our borders.
Our borders is not something he influenced to get passed.
But he made America great again.
Okay, when did it become great?
As soon as he took office.
Okay, so what did he do to cause it to be great? Just existing?
What do you mean? He secured the border. What do you mean, Parker?
What did he do to secure the border?
He did everything.
So this is why. Okay, so
the border is
so your first question was, how could he get elected if it is the case that he hasn't done anything? Well, it's because there are ill-informed voters, such as yourself.
I don't think that's it, because like I said, he's back. How do you bring somebody back? How are people that ill-informed where, like, so were people ill informed when Joe Biden took presidency?
Hmm.
So what is not being like who is the perfect candidate for you? Is there like just nobody right now in your opinion, or is there somebody like for the next presidency that you're looking at? Or
I'm saying right now, in general politics, right, it is the case that there's not a common idea that people need to inform themselves radically, critically think radically in order to be able to come to the perspectives they have on politics. I think it's too common for people to have views on politics where they treat it like sports teams. And that's actually something I do think has led to the level of, to Donald Trump getting elected. Now, specifically, were there ill-informed voters when Biden got elected? Absolutely, right? But we have to acknowledge that the main reason in terms of the exit polling, based upon why Trump got elected, like the number one reason was inflation under the Biden-Harris administration. But that wasn't even caused by them, and Trump was actually advocating for inflation, like through tariffs. And that's what we're seeing right now. So, like, if people actually critically thought about the election, Trump would not be president. I'm serious.
I don't know, because I mean, I think the most recent voting for our president was the most intense and most interactive for people that I've ever seen. I mean, I don't know. I think people took critical thinking and actually wanted to, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I think he won. I think it was a fair race.
Okay, who won in 2020?
Who won in 2020? Sleepy Joe.
Okay, so Trump lied about the 2020 election, right? It was safe and secure.
How do you lie?
He said that he won the election. He still says to this day that he won the 2020 election.
Oh, he should have.
No, he said that he did. Not that he should have. He said that he did.
Well, yeah, he should have.
So you think that he rightfully won?
I think we should have had him back to back to back.
Okay, so then you think that he should have won even though he didn't get enough votes?
Um, I think it was rigged.
Oh, okay. Now you think it's rigged. Okay, 60 plus courts indicate
Wait,
no
what
sufficient.
do you mean now? I never said it. What
Okay, well then I'll
we
ask
didn't
you
even
this.
get to
Let,
that
let me
point.
let me ask you this question. Explain to me how they could rig it in 2020, but they could not rig it in 2024.
Um, it was rigged. What do you mean? And then now it's just like, you know what? They got caught, and he actually won by fairness. All fairness. It was a fair race. There's no way we can get a guy like that in office again. What?
Explain to me how they could steal it in 2020 when Trump was in office, but they could not steal it in 2024 when Biden was in office.
2024 when Biden was in office?
Hmm.
I just said they rigged it. 2020. How does a country get a guy like that in office? Like, and then we realize, okay, you know what? This is not what we want. This is not what we want. That's why he dropped out last second, because he knew what was coming.
So he did get the 81 million votes. That's a fact, right? You're just denying that because you can't accept reality.
Yeah,
I
no.
understand.
I didn't deny that.
I
What?
understand that. I understand that
I
you
didn't
can't
even
accept
deny that.
reality and you can't accept facts,
Did he
but like
drop
that
out?
doesn't
Yes
mean
or
that you should
no?
drag everyone else
Why
into
did he
this.
drop out? Why did he drop out, Parker?
Because he didn't think that he was going to get enough votes in 2024.
And why is that?
Because it is a case that people understood that he has gone through cognitive decline.
No, he just knew that, it was his time. And he knew what he was up
Yeah. Do you
against, and
understand there's a distinction between
that was
2020 and
Mr. Trump.
2024, right? Can you acknowledge that
But
there's a
but
distinction between 2024 Joe Biden and
Parker,
2020 Joe Biden?
who is your U.S. president right now?
It's currently Donald Trump.
Exactly. So
That's embarrassing. I'm not trolling. That's
everything from now
embarrassing.
on,
I'm
Parker, that
serious.
is your president.
I'm serious. That's embarrassing.
But that is your president. Like,
Yeah, and that's
whether you like
embarrassing.
it or not,
And that is and it's
sometimes,
embarrassing.
whether you like it or not, that's just what it is, baby. You just got to
Yeah,
kind of
I
roll with it.
acknowledge it, and it's embarrassing. Like I'm actually actively embarrassed that Donald Trump is my president.
I mean, you can't necessarily. So, like, from the outside perspective, right? Like, what are you, if somebody were to come up to you and say, Parker, why don't you like your president? Like, what would you say to them?
Held civilly liable bragged about walking into the changing rooms of women without their consent while they were changing. 18-year-old came out, said there were 4 girls in his changing rooms when Donald Trump would barge in. We can also point to the fact that Donald Trump said he would date in 10 years, said his daughter was voluptuous, which means curvy and attractive. He said he had in common with his daughter. He said he'd be dating his own daughter if it wasn't his daughter. We can also point to the fact that Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill will cut 420,000 children off of free school lunch and breakfast on average per month, right? It will also cut 2.5 million people off their food stamps and over 10 million people off of their health insurance through Medicaid, while adding $3.4 trillion to the debt, according to the Congressional Budget Office, a nonpartisan committee from the federal government. He also added significantly more debt, $4 trillion more than the Biden-Harris administration. Right? You can also point to the fact that he's an absolutely atrocious person trying to undermine our Constitution and democracy, said the 2020 election was rigged with absolutely no evidence, called for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution, right? And literally incited a violent insurrection at the Capitol.
Is that it? No, play.
Oh,
Do
I
you
can
just
keep
have
going.
do you just have this all like on notes or something? That's
No,
crazy.
you want me to keep going? This is all off the head. All off the
That's
head.
crazy. You sound like you were freestyling. Damn, that's crazy.
You want me to talk about him being anti-science and saying that like Tylenol is causing autism when actually the evidence indicates otherwise? There's a Swedish study with 2.5 million people that it overlooked, and when accounting for things such as genetic factors, right, and maternal factors particularly, it literally got rid of the association. So there's absolutely no association between the usage of Tylenol during pregnancy and autism.
So tell me this, Parker. Are is what you're doing a mission? Like, are you are you trying to inform the ill-informed, or are you trying to just like what is the
You got banned for civic and election integrity. Yes. I want to inform people. I want to educate people. I want people to critically think. I want people to be more involved with politics, to get other people to be more involved as well. I think there's so many different things that come from this type of dialogue that I think is important.